Okay. So, what did we study in these four modules? If you go back and have a recap at that, the first module we studied about the basics of signals like even signal, odd signal, energy, power, different kinds of signals basically. Then, how do we plot them? How do we understand, like, for example, unit step function, ramp function, impulse function? What is an LTI system? So the basic, signals, important signals we have seen. After that, in the second module, we specifically, concentrated on the convolution part. And before going to that, I have explained why, what's the use of this convolution, exactly how do we understand convolution, what is the process happening behind that convolution, where do we actually apply that. So the first two module, if you observe properly, it is about time domain signal. Then, if you go to this third and fourth module, you are transforming your time domain signal to frequency domain using Fourier transform. So, in the fourth module, we particularly concentrated on Fourier series, particularly on continuous and discrete time Fourier series. Use some equation, we solved the problems and we got the answers, because only we can apply to this periodic sequence there. For non-periodic, we have to apply this Fourier transform. And in the Fourier transform, again, we use some formula for CTFT and DTFT and we got the answers there. And why did we study this module 3 and module 4 is, we are converting our time domain signal to frequency domain signal, and we are analyzing signals in frequency domain. Why we are analyzing frequency domain, I have given a better representation of that and better explanation before starting this Fourier transform. So why do we study all these things? We study because we are applying these things in our day-to-day life, directly or indirectly. Okay. For example, whatever you studied in the first two units or the third and fourth unit and this Z transform, you will be applying in subjects like control system, digital signal processing, machine learning in your higher semester. And this subject is the basis for that. And particularly in control system, you want to analyze a system as a whole. Here, we are particular with only the signals part of point, and in order to get the complete overview of the system, to analyze the system, we have to study control system. So that you will be studying in higher sems. And whatever we are studying here, like Z transform, Fourier transform, we are going to apply these techniques in subjects like control system, DSP, etc. You take Formula One car, for example. There, it is not only about one particular, branch, mechanical branch. There is all the branches coming there. So there is electrical branch, there is electronics, there is chemical, everything. Why do we, why this Formula One race is very important, because they test the car with around some 500 rounds. Okay. Sorry, not 500, around 40 to 50 laps they have. So what they're doing there, they're testing them performance of the tire, they're testing them performance of the engine, and how much mileage it gives, how the engine performance is there. So as an electrical engineer, with respect to electrical engineering, you have many sensors there. You collect the data, you analyze the data there, and then based on that, you take certain actions what has to be done. So all this you are going to do using this control system. Okay. So control system is not only studied by electrical engineering, it is also studied by mechanical engineering students also, and also electronics and communication. So for most of the subject, this signals and system serves as a basis. Okay. So now in the fifth module, we are going to study on Z transform. As the name indicates, we are going to transform our time domain signal into Z domain. So, sir, we have already studied, you know, uh, frequency domain, which is Fourier transform, which is going to convert your time domain to x of j omega. Then why do we need to, study this Z transform? I will explain that. Do not worry. So let us see what are the contents in this module 5, and then we will. I do not like to begin the subject as it is. So first, any subject, let it be control system or whatever you're studying this time, network analysis, induction motors, or LIC. First, you have to ask yourself, okay, why do we need to study that particular module? Where are we going to apply that in the application point of view? There is no point in just studying one subject. So you have to apply it somewhere, right? So whatever I am teaching here, Z transform or Fourier transform, you are going to apply in control system subjects. So this is the foundation for that. Okay, so you have to ask yourself where we are going to apply. So convolution, I have showed you practically how it is used as a filters. When coming to this Fourier transform, I have told you how why do we need to convert to this frequency domain, and with the help of images and all I have shown you. And now this Z transform, I am going to explain in with respect to application point of view first, and then begin with the traditional method which others follow. Okay, so before that, let us see what are the contents you are going to learn in this particular module. The first thing you'll see, what is the introduction to Z transform, like different, what is the formula for Z transform. Then region of convergence, that concept will come. Poles and zero concepts will come. Do not confuse that. So we'll go understand, and we will do that step by step. So that we will cover in this introduction. In the second part, it's about properties. So if you go back to signals like causal, stability, same thing you're going to study here also, with respect to stability, causality and all. Then inverse Z transform, you're converting your time domain signal to your Z domain. How can you convert back from Z domain to your time domain signal? That is inverse Z transform. There are two methods. So one is partial fraction method, and you have that another one, power series method. So those things we will discuss here in the third one. And transform analysis in the LTI system. Then stability, causality, those two properties in detail. Then finally we will wrap it up with unilateral Z transform. Okay, so these are the contents which you are going to learn in this module. Okay, before that, you have to understand, why do you want to study this Z transform? What is the relationship between this Fourier transform, Z transform? These things they'll never mention in textbook. They'll directly begin with the formula. They'll give you this ROC, properties of ROC, and then begin. I do not like to do that. I want to explain you the things, with respect to application point of view. So there should be, something we have to enjoy before, going to this mathematical point of view. Okay. So with respect to that, if you take the Laplace transform, there is this continuous time Fourier transform, there is this discrete time Fourier transform, and there is your Z transform. Okay, I hope you have studied Laplace transform in your mathematics. Continuous time Fourier transform I have discussed. Discrete time Fourier transform I have discussed. And Z transform I am about to discuss from today. Okay, so these are the two divisions when you analyze the signal. So if you have a continuous time signal, then you can analyze in continuous time Fourier transform. Then it should be either energy signal or a power signal to analyze that. Okay, but using Laplace transform, you can analyze energy or power, or neither energy or power. So Laplace transform we use for continuous time signal to convert into S domain and understand the stability point of view. For example, you have a system, consider a pendulum system. Okay. So you are applying some force to it. If it, you know, well within its boundary, then it is stable. If it goes out of the boundary with the force you apply and it goes out of the boundary, then it is unstable system. So in order to analyze whether the system is stable, unstable, we use this Laplace transform or Z transform. So for continuous time signal, we use CTFT and Laplace transform. For discrete time signal, so how will be the discrete time signal look like? So it is discretized. Okay. So this is x of n. So this is x of t. So whenever we use this discrete time signals, we use discrete time Fourier transform and Z transform. So here also it is for energy or power. Here both energy and power we can use this Z transform. Okay. Then so if you want to design a algorithm in digital domain, we use this Z transform. Okay, let me come to that. So before that, I have to explain to you what is the formula for Z transform. What is the relationship between this Fourier transform and Z transform? Okay, so let's understand the basic things, and then we can further understand with respect to one application, and then we can I will explain that to you. So for Fourier transform, what is the formula for Fourier transform we had? So we had x of omega is equal to your CTFT for your DTFT formula. X of omega is equal to summation n varies from minus infinity to infinity x of n e power minus j omega n. So this was the formula for DTFT, or converting your time domain signal into Fourier transform or frequency domain signal. So now what is the expression for your Z transform? If you ask me, it is x of z is equal to summation n varies from minus infinity to infinity x of n z power minus n. Okay, so this is the formula for your Z transform in order to convert your time domain x of n to your Z domain x of z. So what's the formula? X of z is equal to summation n varies from minus infinity to infinity x of n z to the power of minus n. Here z is equal to r e power j omega. So now you will understand what is the relationship between Z transform and discrete time Fourier transform. Okay. So now in this equation, Z is equal to R e power j omega. If R is equal to 1, what happens? So this term, so summation n varies from minus infinity to infinity, x of n. So what did I put for Z? Z is equal to R e power j omega whole to the power of minus n. And then what did I tell? I will put R is equal to 1. So let us put R is equal to 1. Now what happens? Summation n varies from minus infinity to infinity. X of n, R is equal to 1. So e power minus j omega n. So your Z transform has become equal to your discrete time Fourier transform. So we can say that your Z transform is nothing but your Fourier transform with the magnitude of R equal to 1, which is nothing but your unit circle. So if Z is equal to R e power j theta, so R e power j omega. So this is in the form of polar form. So with the R is the radius. So now if I take R is equal to 1, then it is a unit radius. So your Z transform looks like something like this. So you have a unit circle. So R is equal to 1 with some angle omega. and this is rotating. Okay, so this is your real part of Z and this is your imaginary part of Z. So your Z transform is going to transform your signal into this circle with radius r and angular frequency omega. So consider, for example, you have a signal. Okay, then how can we get a relation? So how does the Fourier transform represents, or how does the Z transform represent? I will show you. So as I told you, your Z transform or your DTFT we can apply for only discrete time signal. So I have to write here a discrete time signal. So let me write a discrete time signal for you. So this is your discrete time signal here. Okay, so now how does the Fourier transform of this signal look like? I will draw for you. So 1 minute. Yeah, so this is your time domain signal. So with respect to n, you have your x of n. So if I take them discrete time Fourier transform, how does this actually look like? So we have our x-axis and y-axis here, and here it is the magnitude of x of e power j omega, and for different values of omega we'll get the frequency. So at omega 1, at minus omega 1 we have to get according to the property, and if you consider from omega is equal to 0 to 2 pi, okay, let this another frequency be here. So something it will look like this if you take them frequency domain. So now how does the Z transform look like visually? I'm going to show you here. So you have your x-axis, you have your y-axis. So the x-axis is nothing but real part of Z. Your y-axis is nothing but your imaginary of Z. As I told you before, how does the Z transform look like? It is nothing but a unit circle. So this is nothing but a unit circle with angle omega. So now you can see here at omega is equal to 0, the point will be here with r is equal to 1, and 0 to 2 pi, if you go here in this one, you are wrapping it up into a unit circle. You are going this round here. So 0 to 2 pi will come here. Your 0 to pi by 2 will be here. 0 to pi will be here. So you are wrapping this, just like a circle, so that it falls on this circle with the magnitude of radius is equal to 1 and with the angular frequency omega. So that is how you visualize things. Okay, so now let me explain to you why do we need this digital signals. Okay, and let me explain with the help of some example to you so that you'll get a better idea. Okay, so first let me explain to you why do we need this digital signal. Okay, so in control system there is a subject or there is a module with digital control design. Okay, so what happens is you are going to work with digital data. So you may ask me why this Z transform is required, or what is the application of this Z transform, or why we are analyzing the signals in digital domain. Because continuous domain looks nice to us, right? Because it's continuous, easy to analyze. But why are we doing this in digital domain? So what is the purpose? Okay, so let me explain to you with the help of example. You have your home here. So you monitor the temperature of the home. So you have your temperature sensor here. Okay, so the output of your temperature sensor will be analogous in nature or continuous in nature. So if you want to control the room temperature, You can use for analog components which have studied in in your previous sem analog devices, and you can control the temperature by taking this temperature as a feedback. And if there is a furnace here, so consider there is a furnace here and there is a control for it. You can do it using analog signal, but it will be bulky and it is out of date. So using the components like resistor, capacitor, diode, you can control it using analog circuit also. But now we are smart people, we have become smart technology, everything, smartphone, everything is there. So we have to you know r- uh, we have to digitalize the signal and write the algorithm for it so that it is easy to control. So what we will do is we will convert this analog signal into the digital signal. Okay, so we need to convert this analog signal to digital signal with the help of EDC. So what is this ADC? This ADC is nothing but analog to digital converter. So you have your analog signal, it will convert to digital signals. Okay, then what is happening inside this ADC is there's something called as sampling. So what this sampling concept is going to do is, so you imagine there is some switch. So you have your analog signal here. So you pass this analog signal through this switch and switch on and switch off. So output, what will be your signal? It will be digitalized because I'm switching on for. So if you have your analog signal here, I will switch on at this point, and again I will switch off, and I'll switch on at this point. Again I'll switch off, switch on at this point, switch off, switch on, switch off, switch on. So what I'm doing, I'm just converting my analog signal into digital signal. It's that simple. Okay, so do not get do not make things complicated. It is just a switching process. You're going to use a switch and you're switching this atom fast rate, on off on off. Or for example, in your home there is a tube light, so it's burning. Okay, so what you do is switch on, switch off, switch on, switch off at a faster rate. So what is happening? It's blink off, on off, on off, on off. So you're converting your analog signal into your digital signal there, like on and off. Okay, so now you have this analog signal, then you can write algorithms for this digital signal on your microcontroller or your PLC, etc. And then you can control this furnace efficiently. Instead of using manual switch, we can use this digitalization or Z transform here, and we can get a better control over there. Okay, so this is where digital signals analyzation we need to understand. So this is why we use Z transform and DTFT. Okay, so whatever algorithms you are going to write after getting the data from your sensor, you will pass through this ADC and you'll get your digital data, and then you are going to write the algorithms for that digital data. Okay, so this you will study further in your control system. Just to give an understanding what is the application point of view, I had explained this one. Okay, so with respect to what are the advantages, it is there is a delay, yes, but it is cheap because you can there is just a microcontroller there, and the only thing is there is a delay here. If you observe here, when the data comes from here to here, yes, sampling everything, there is a delay, but disadvantages is less and more advantages is there. What are the advantages? The first one, it is cheap. The second one, it is easy to update your algorithm, and the third one is your flexibility. So these are the three things which which makes us towards this digital signal. Okay, let me explain this one with the help of control system only. Okay, so when understanding this control system subject, it will become easy for you. So you have this control plant here. So for example, you need to regulate some temperature, and you have your normal sensor here. So output of the sensor, it senses the temperature, and output will be analog. So you need to convert into digital with the help of this ADC. So ADC will convert this analog signal into digital signal, and then where this Z transform comes is here in your control algorithm. So here the Z transform comes into picture, and then again you are converting your digital to analog and give it to your control plant. So this is like a loop. Okay, so here is your set point or your desired set point of temperature. So here is the actual temperature. So if you want to desired temperature, you set it here. Okay, and then you give it to this Z transform algorithm. So this will adjust, your signals as that your output of DAC will control this temperature, and you'll get it in your final required temperature. So it is just like a feedback system. So don't worry about this one. This feedback system, everything you'll learn again properly in control system. So I wanted to show you where do you exactly use this Z transform, and your Z transform equation will be like Z by Z minus A into Z minus B and all. Okay, so what exactly is happening is this is nothing but your transfer function equation. So using this poles and zero, we are going to control the stability, or what is meant by poles or zero, you may have the question. Okay, don't worry, I will explain it for you. So if you know equate the numerator to zero, you will get zeros, and if you equate the denominator to zero, you will get the poles. For example, you have Z by Z minus A into Z minus B. So if you ask what are the poles in this one, poles you have to make denominator equal to 0. So Z minus A is equal to 0 and Z minus B equal to 0. So we have poles at Z equal to A, comma Z equal to B. Second thing, zeros, you have to equate the numerator equal to 0. So you have zeros at Z equal to 0. So this is the concept of zeros and poles. So why do we use these zeros and poles? We use the zeros and poles to get the stability of the system in actual practice, which you will be further studying in your control system, the stability properly, where do you for a system point of view. Otherwise also we have studied when you went to these properties of signals. Okay, and then there's a concept of region of convergence. Okay, so these two things you should it's a prerequisite. Okay, you should know before you enter this Z transform. So what is this ROC? ROC is nothing but, so ROC, region of convergence. So this region of convergence is nothing but it is the area in the Z plane where Z transform is finite. So you have your Z plane. So for example, you have your Z plane, and where the Z transform exists or it is finite, then it is called as, that region is known as region of convergence. So these things you will explain, you will understand when we solve the problem. So now we'll go to some theory part of the, now we are entering actually, to the subject here, Z transform. So whatever I have explained is just, to get some intuition to Z transform. So without, wasting the time, so let me go to this, enter the subject now. So now we have understood, on a surface level, where do we use this Z transform? Why do we use this Z transform? What is this Z transform equation and what it is actual doing? Okay. Now we will go with the textbook or with the syllabus. Okay. Having said that, so let me start with Z transform. So what is this Z transform? For continuous time system, we use Laplace transform. For discrete time, we use Z transform. We also use Fourier transform also. It's okay. So if x of n is a discrete valued signal, Then Z transform of x of n. So what is the formula for your Z transform? Z transform of x of n is equal to summation n varies from minus infinity to infinity x of n z to the power of minus n. So this is your x of z. So what we are going to do, summation n varies from minus infinity to infinity x of n z power minus n. So this is the formula for z transform. And how can we write this? X of n z transform is x of z. And z transform characterize the region of convergence. As I told you, if you plot this z plane, so wherever this z or this it is finite, so this z transform is finite, that region is known as region of convergence. You don't, if you don't understand this exactly, this poles zero ROC, when we solve problems you'll understand that. Okay, so before going to this problems of this z transform, the first thing you have to know the properties of ROC. Okay, so now what I will do is I'll simply read out the properties. I know you will not understand, but when solving the problems I'll take this sums such that you will understand the each and every property. Okay, as of now if you don't understand also, you just glance it through. So the first property is ROC never contains the pole. So as I told you, if you have your z transform, x of z is equal to z minus a into z minus b. Here a and b is your poles. So ROC should never contains the pole. Then what is the second question, second property? If the time sequence is finite, so you take a time domain signal and it should be a finite. Okay, finite in the sense something like del of n, something like that. So then your region of convergence contains the entire z plane including or excluding the origin. So if you have your time domain signal x of n is equal to some finite quantity, then if you take your z transform, then the z plane exists for entire z plane. So your ROC, it is for your entire z plane. Okay, it may include the origin or it may exclude the origin. The third property, if the time sequence is infinite, for example a power of n u of n, so it will be unit step, right? It is infinite and positive, then ROC is right sided. So ROC lies outside the outermost pole. So if you have your poles like this, so I forgot to say one thing. So I told this is zeros and this is poles. So how do you represent zeros? By using this one. How do you represent poles? By X mark. So if I have my Z plane, if I want to mark this poles, I'll mark like this. If I want to mark zero, I'll mark like this. Remember this one. So in sums, I'll be doing that one. So don't think that I have brought from somewhere else. Okay. So then if your time sequence is infinite and positive, ROC lies outside the outermost pole. So it comes something like this. So we'll solve the problems, we will understand the things there. This is just to glance the things beforehand. Now if the time sequence is infinite and negative, something like u of minus n, then ROC is left sided, then ROC lies inside the innermost pole. So your ROC means lies inside the innermost pole. So if you have your pole here, it lies inside. Don't worry about those things. When we solve the problems, we'll understand perfectly. Then if it is both positive and negative type sequence, then ROC is in the form of ring type structure. So your ROC will something be like this. Okay. So that is the meaning of this fifth point. Now you do not worry about this property. So let us go to problems. Solve some, today I will solve some basic, some 3 or 1 or 2 problem. And from the next class, we will understand properly, okay, with respect to, this, whatever properties I have mentioned here. Okay. So without wasting the time, so let me, go to the first problem for today. In the exam, they will give you, find the Z transform of x of n is equal to del of n. Then they will also give you as find the poles and plot them region of convergence. So what you have to do? First thing, you have to write the formula. So we know that Z transform of x of n is equal to summation n varies from minus infinity to infinity x of n z power minus n. So now what is your x of n? X of n is nothing but your del of n. So summation n varies from minus infinity to infinity del of n z power minus n. If you observe this equation, same thing we have solved in Fourier transform also or anything. So if your equation is like this, so summation n varies from minus infinity to infinity. If it instead of z there it was e power minus j omega. So what this equation is equal to? Z to the power of minus n at n is equal to 0. Same thing we had in Fourier transform. Instead of z to the power of minus n, we had there e power minus j omega n. Go there and see. Okay. So this whole equation is equal to e power minus j omega n at n is equal to 0. Here, instead of e power minus j omega n, we are expressing in terms of z power n, where z is equal to r e power j omega and magnitude of r is equal to r. Okay. So this is equal to, at n is equal to 0, z to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So now what they have asked you? First one, z transform. So khel khatam. Second one, what they have asked? Find the poles. So what I told, if you have the equation, you have to equate the denominator to 0, you'll get the poles. But here denominator is nothing is there. So no poles exist. Okay. Then coming to the region of convergence. What is the ROC for this one? So for this, ROC is, so let me, draw neatly. Okay. So this is your Z plane. So your ROC is, region of convergence is your entire Z plane. Okay. So this is your Z plane. Region of convergence is your entire Z plane. So if you go back to the properties here, so if the time sequence is finite, so now we will understand this property. So your signal was del of n, it was finite. Then ROC contains the entire Z plane, including or excluding the origin. So I have plotted here. So this is your Z plane. So your ROC is this green color thing, whatever I have plotted, it contains the entire Z plane, including or excluding the origin. So this is your ROC, there is no poles, and this is your Z transform. Simple, isn't it? So using these things only, we are going to, solve some problems in this Z transform. So let me take you to the second problem. So slight modification I will do. So let it be del of n minus k. So now what is the first step we have to do? We have to write the formula. Z transform of x of n is equal to summation n varies from minus infinity to infinity x of n z power minus n. So now del of n minus k. There it was del of n. Here it is del of n minus k. So let us substitute x of n as del of n minus k into z to the power of minus n. So now this equation is nothing but same thing as previous, z to the power of minus n. There it was n is equal to 0. Here it is n is equal to k. Because there it was only del of n. Here it is del of n minus k. N minus k is equal to 0, then n is equal to k. So z of minus k, which is equal to 1 by z of z to the power of k. So this you have to remember, z transform of x of n is 1 by z to the power of k. So now what are the other things we want? We want poles and we want ROC. So in order to get the poles, what I suggested you, I suggested you to make the denominator is equal to 0. So what is the denominator here? Z to the power of k. So z to the power of k is equal to 0. This implies z is equal to 0. So you have pole at z is equal to 0. Then what is the region of convergence? How does it look like? The first thing what you have to do is you have to mark the pole in your z axis. So you have your z plane here. So what did I tell you? Poles you have to represent it by x, zeros by polyomote. This is 0. Okay. So now you have pole at z is equal to 0. So let me represent that pole here. So this is your pole at z is equal to 0. Then your ROC contains the entire z plane. Okay. So your ROC is your entire z plane except at z is equal to 0. Okay. So your ROC is entire z plane except at z is equal to 0, because ROC never contains the pole. We'll go back to the property now. So ROC never contains the pole. So we have applied the first property in our this one. So this is with respect to this first property. ROC never contains the pole. So your ROC is your entire z plane except at z is equal to 0. So this is how you solve this one. Get the z transform, get the poles, get the region of convergence. So what you have to do? You have to go and write it once to understand it better. So let me wrap it up with the last problem for today. So just the difference is here, x of n is equal to del of n plus k. So let us solve step by step. Z transform of x of n is equal to summation n varies from minus infinity to infinity x of n z power minus n. So now what is x of n? Del of n plus k. So summation n varies from minus infinity to infinity del of n plus k z power minus n. So this is nothing but is equal to z to the power of minus n at n is equal to minus k. So if you substitute n is equal to minus k in this one, you will get z to the power of k. So we got our first thing, z transform. Then what we have to get? We have to get the poles, we have to get them ROC. Second one, to get the poles, equate the denominator to 0. Here denominator nothing is there. So no poles. Okay. And ROC. So what is the ROC? It is the same as your first problem. It is your entire z plane since it has no poles. So entire z plane. So you have your z plane here. Your ROC is your entire z plane. Okay. So this is how you solve problems in z transform. So first what we have to do? We have to get the equation z transform of x of n is equal to summation n varies from minus infinity to infinity x of n z to the power of minus n. Then we have to get the poles. Then we have to memorize the properties so that we can get this ROC easily. So to understand ROC, we have to solve some lot of problems there, and then we can get a better picture of it. So I think we can wrap it up for today. Thank you.